It's time for another Dice Tower review with Zee Garcia.
Hey folks, what's going on? Today we're going to be taking a look at a little card game called Lords of Scotland. And this one is for 2 to 5 players, takes about 30-45 minutes. And it's very interesting, and it's an interesting little game in which you are sort of playing a area majority game, but triggering some powers while you do it. Let me just give you an overview of the game, and then we'll come back and I'll tell you what I thought of it. Here I'm going to be showing you a game for 3 players, but basically at the beginning of the game you're going to give the star player marker, which is this sword here, to a player. You are going to give each player 5 cards, and you are going to set up the game like this on the table. Deck of cards, 5 cards face down, and as many face up over here as the number of players. And so the way the game works is, the objective is to get 40 points. We're going to play as many rounds as it takes for someone to get to 40 or go above 40. And at that point we stop and we see who has the most points. Most points is the winner. Each round of the game is going to last basically 5 hands. And we're going to use these cards to keep track of that, as well as draw from them. So, the start player for each round is going to, the first thing they'll do is they'll take the first one here that is not face up and turn it face up. And so once it comes back around to me again, then I'll flip this one face up and so on. We're going to do that. And at the end of 5 loops, then the round is over and we calculate strength. But before we get to that, so I flip one over and then I take a look at my hand here. These are the cards I have. As you can see, they have numbers. They go from 1 to 12 in each clan, and they have a clan itself, which is the color, the symbol. Each one is associated with a power as well. And I will get to the powers in a bit. And then on my turn, I have 2 options, really. I can either muster a clan, which means I'm going to play it on the table. I can play it face up or face down. Or I can just draw a card from all of these and make myself stronger for upcoming rounds. And so if I draw one of these, I could take the face up and then replace it face up, or I could take a face down card, which will be replaced face down. And so let's say on my turn I am going to do, I'm going to do this one. I'm going to play that card on the table. And this card, the strength is an 8. I'm going to play it face up. And the reason I'm going to play it face up is because if when you play a card on the table, there is no card that is lower than the strength of that card, then you get to trigger the power. This one says I muster another follower, so I'm going to do this. And then I get to muster another one, and so I might do this one. And this one is going to, actually I'm going to do this one. And this one is going to come into play face down. Because I don't want anybody to know what it is, and it wouldn't trigger anyway if I played it face up, because it's a 10 and now there is an 8 on the table. And so that'll come into play face down. That is my round. Then this player would go, they're going to take a look at their hand, they're going to go, okay, can't really trigger those. I'm going to do this one. And they're going to play that, and that will trigger because it's a 2, and the lowest number on the table right now is an 8. And the power here is you can swap with another follower. Great. So he's going to play that there, and then he's going to swap this card out with this one, and they know they're getting an 8, or with that one, they don't really know what they're getting. So they're going to do this. So I get that one, they get this. And that's their turn. Then this player would go, and let's say they're just going to draw. They're just going to take this card here, put it in their hand, and we flip a new one. Once it's back to my turn, as I said, I'm going to flip the next card over. And then I would take my turn. We're going to do that 5 times. These are all going to eventually be revealed. Again, sometimes you'll spend a round just really buffing up your hand. Sometimes you'll lay it all on the table, enter the next round really weak in your hand. That's just the flow of the game. Once the round is over, we're going to compare our strengths. So everything would be revealed, and we would compare everybody's strength. So let's say this guy over here played 2 cards, and this guy over here played those 2. And that one for some reason. And this person over here played, I'm going to switch this up for the example. Let's say they played those 2. Alright? And now you calculate the victory points, the strength rather. So I have 8 plus 2 plus 1, that's 11. They have 12 and 12, that is 24. They are winning right now. And this person over here has a 10 and a 9. That would normally be 19. However, if every clan you've played in a round is from the same clan of everybody you mustered, then you can double their total. So my total is the double of what you would think it is. And so this person is clearly going to win, and you are going to get first draft if you win of these. Now these do not go in your hand, these are actually victory points. That number in the corner is going to be used at that point for victory. And so they would take the best one, which is a 7. And they would put that aside somewhere in their score pile. Then that person with 24 would go. They're going to get the 3 victory points. And then I would get the 2 victory points. We would clean all this up. Clean all those. Get rid of everything. You keep your hand of cards. We lay out 5 new cards. We flip over 3 new clans that you're trying to bring over to your side for the big fight. And we continue. We continue doing that until someone has at least 40 in victory points, meaning the ones that come from here. And at that point we stop playing. We see who has the most victory points, and that player is the winner. If at any point the cards you flip over here are all the same values, so say a 2, a 2, and a 2, then you would just discard those and flip 3 new ones so that it matters if you win. Otherwise it really wouldn't matter. You have a hand limit of 10 cards in the game, which you typically don't really get near that amount. And that's basically the game. You continue doing that until you have a winner. Here I'm just going to show you some of the powers that come on these cards. I haven't sorted these or anything. I'm just going to show you a few. This one says if you trigger this card, you get to keep it for the next round. So once you played this in front of you and it triggered, if it did trigger, you would just turn it sideways to remember that you keep it. So there's that one. Claim 2 supporters. That one also triggers at the end of a round, and that means if you would pick second, let's say, in the game I just showed you of 3 players, you take the second card and the third card. So the last player would get nothing. Be aware, if this is stolen from you, it triggers for whoever took it. So it's a dangerous card. This one says you can copy another follower's power. Fine, you can copy something else. Keep for another round. Draw a card. If that triggers, you get to draw another one from the pile. Keep for another round. You swap with a supporter. Muster another follower. By the way, swap with a supporter is actually swapping this card for one of the 3 you would take as victory points. I think I may have explained that erroneously, but that's what that means. Claim 2. Discard someone else's follower. So if this triggers, you get to pick someone else's character they've played in front of them and get rid of it, even face down. Copy another power, discard, and so as you can see, lots of powers, but they really don't trigger that often because once something low is on the table, once we've thrown a 4 out there, then only 4s and 3s and 2s, anything the same number or lower would trigger. So while the game is chaotic to a point, it's not wildly chaotic, and that's basically it. This version of Lords of Scotland is actually a reprint from Z-Man Games of the old version, also from Z-Man Games, Lords of Scotland, as you can see it here. The first thing I'll say about it is that the new one is considerably more attractive, and that's obviously my opinion, as is everything in these videos, but I think the consensus would probably agree with me. The original was just not a very attractive package, and the cards themselves were just not as good looking, okay? And so I like that. Obviously the bigger format is fine. It doesn't bother me one way or the other. It's what Z-Man is reprinting these days, this size box, and I like it. I like it. I think it's fine. And these are an old standby, and I like this size as well, but this is perfectly good. The game itself, I've been a fan of it before. I always thought it was not an amazing game, but one I always liked, and in fact I still have the old one because I did enjoy the game. Now the main thing I will say about the game is that I like it considerably more with 3 players than I do with, say, 5. With 5, the game's simply too slow, too long. It really outstays its welcome. And so I would say, if you want to check out the game, do it with fewer players first. And if you want to try it with 5, try it, but I don't recommend it. I don't think it's ideal with more than 3, maybe 4. It's just too slow. But with 3, it's a great game. I really enjoy the feel of bluffing, playing cards face down. the idea of triggering those powers. As I said, the game sounds really chaotic, and there's chaos in it for sure, but it's not every card is a slap to the face. It's not that crazy. You can spend a hand building up a clan, having a bunch of the same color, and then going into a round with a huge victory point card out there, like a 12, and just boom, 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 and then doubling your total. That's very satisfying to be able to do that. The powers are all interesting but straightforward. There's nothing too crazy in there. The game actually includes these 2 cards from another clan that they tell you, pull out of there for the first game. That their power is they can be any clan at the end of the game. So that's interesting. I really don't typically play with those because it's one more thing for me to explain to people, but they're in there. The original had them as well. They're in here as well. And so there's that. The powers, as you saw, are interesting but simplistic. They make sense. They're cool. They let you do something real quick and then move on. The turns themselves are very quick. When it's your turn to go, you draw or you play. Boom, boom. You do a little power maybe. That's it. It's a satisfying little game. I really like card games, and this is a good one. I think it's interesting. I think it's a keeper for me. Obviously, I like the idea of taking a lower power for triggering some sort of effect, and it's self-balancing. It's interesting that way. It's got luck of the draw. Obviously, it's a card game, but it's cool. I enjoy it. I think it's a good little card game. So if you're looking for something that you could play with, maybe it's like family plus a little bit. Perhaps it's not just colors and numbers, but there's those little powers in there. Then I would say check it out. Lords of Scotland it's a good little card game. I'm glad it's back in print, and I'm glad they made it in a much nicer version. Lords of Scotland.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.